Hello folks and welcome to the middle of your week. First of all, a little call for help. If you like what I do, then please share this video around. YouTube at the moment is absolutely tanking everybody's view count, which sucks considering the amount of work we all put into our channel. So, if you like what I do, share the video. And also, if you like what I do, the subscribe button is down below. And if you really like what I do, Patreon is also down below. We're trying to move away from YouTube ad revenue and all that. So the more people who are on the Patreon, the more I can guarantee being around to give you more of what you like best. And that is, most of the time, Hobby Nightmares. And the one we got for you today is a doozy. It's really good. I had a really fun time reading the first half of this last night. I didn't read all of it, so, you know, bear with me, but I like to read at least the first half of some of them if they're longer, to make sure that they are, you know, content that I can actually put on the channel. I have had novellas sent to me before that I've not been able to put on because they don't really go anywhere. They're nice stories, they just don't really suit what we're doing here. Yorkshire tea, what a lovely one. Let's get into it, shall we? So, this is from Neck Oil Specialist. Love the name. They say, I think this is a she, by the way, so she says, Hi North, bit of a weird one, I have to say, but hey, it is what it is, I guess. So this can be a bit of a weird story. Hope you're doing well, and thank you for all you do. Whilst this is not really a long hobby nightmare, it's one that I would like your input on, as it's something I am coming across more and more in our hobby, no matter what part of it I indulge in. I live in London, and my career is a good one, as I run a hobby store down here on the back end. Basically, I get to avoid the publicity and simply run the business as I started it about 11 years ago, and it's going extremely well. The thing is, I'm kind of falling out of love with the hobby as it is. The reason I came to your channel in the first place is because you go against having politics of any kind in your Discord and in general in gaming unless it's serving some sort of story purpose. And even then, it should only be the smallest hints of politics to flavour what's going on in the narrative. So, let's get on with the nightmares. Well, yeah, you've got me down pat there. You've basically got exactly who I am. So, yeah, well done to you. I can only imagine how much stress it is to actually own a hobby store and be falling out of love with the hobby. That would be panic-inducing, to say the least. To say the absolute least. The first story happened just after the easing up on restrictions after the Great Pestilence of 2020. As folks were coming out of lockdown, there was still a lot of paranoia and craziness about the restrictions and what was and what was not allowed. Yeah, fair enough. I get that. It was pretty crazy, wasn't it? Unfortunately, those on the political extremes in the hobby took this as their opportunity to get on their soapboxes and start wagging their fingers at the rest of us. Oh boy, yeah. Every Thursday we would do a gaming group in the store for 40k. One bloke called Simon would pop in, and let's just say this bloke was a bit of a protester. Like anything against the government, he would protest out there and bring it into the store, telling people about it and generally going on about workers' rights and things like that, even when you didn't ask. Oh my god, does this guy live in Liverpool? Because I get this all the time. All the time. You get people whinging all the time. Just like, you know, workers' rights. Mate, you don't have a job. You can't complain about workers' rights. You don't have a job. Right? That just... Shut up. Anyway. I mean, a lot of folks just got on with it and took it as one of his eccentricities, which is fair enough. I'm a back-end owner of the store, and I don't like anybody knowing that I own the place. I like being one of the guys, despite being a 38-year-old woman. Go figure. Anyway, Simon one Thursday comes in and starts talking about the patriarchy. Oh, Jesus. I know where this is going. Or do I? I know, well, let's see. This is the part that I got up to last night. I saw the word patriarchy, guys, and I turned over and went to sleep. I was not in the right frame of mind to deal with this. So, I'm going to pick up where I left off. Anyway, Simon on one Thursday comes in and starts talking about the patriarchy. Something I just don't believe exists at all. Okay, alright. I'm a single woman in one of the best countries in the world, earning good money because I built my own business from the ground up, from scratch, in a niche hobby in one of the most expensive cities in the world. I managed to do all this through hard work. Nothing else, hard work. Anybody else can do this through hard work. To imply there is a patriarchy at all, to fight, means you believe I got special treatment to get my business going. No, I didn't. Go fuck yourself. I like this woman. Okay. There also is no gender pay gap, but there is a disparity in the work that men and women want to do. But I won't go for any further into that. Yeah, please don't. I'm going to be here all day if you do. Safe to say, me and Simon disagree on a lot of things. And I think a lot of his I'm an ally quote-unquote bullshit is actually kind of creepy and insidious. Yeah, do you know what? That's one thing I'm going to go with you on that one. Any guy who has to outwardly say, I'm an ally, as in I'm a feminist ally, or I'm an ally to women, that's some creepy-ass bullshit. Please stop doing that, because you're making the rest of us look very bad. You're one of these guys who likes to roll over and get his belly tickled. Can you please not do that? Okay? There's nothing wrong with recognising that men and women are inherently different. We are. And if a man comes to me and says, I'm an ally, or I'm a feminist, I immediately think, you're mentally challenged. Because there is no way you are basically a turkey campaigning for Christmas. Just stop. Please stop, right? Because a lot of those guys, when they say, I'm an ally, they don't mean they're an ally to feminism in the way that they want everybody to be equal. No, they're an ally to feminism in the way that they want women to have their turn and be over men, sort of a thing. Most of the men I come across who say that kind of shit, that's what they mean. It's unattractive, it's bullshit, and it brings you down. No woman's gonna sleep with you, dude. Like, literally. I know you're using it as a way to get in there. Any woman with a brain isn't going to sleep with you. They're just not. They're just not going to do it. Just back away. It's the most unattractive thing in the world to do. It's creepy. It's nonsensical. Go away. Stop doing it. Thank you, okay? Plus, you're ruining people for the rest of us, because people will look at you and go, that's what men should be like. Then you're never going to be here, because you're going to commit suicide, right? They're gonna suck all the life out of you and run you down to the point that you self-delete. And the men who are here to pick up the pieces of what you left behind is men like me and everybody else here, who's got to put up with the bullshit that you leave behind because you ruined it for everybody else by trying to be an ally, quote-unquote. But anyway, moving on. Finally, one day, I piped up and asked him if he could not talk about politics in the store, please, as it was taking away from what we were there to do. Enjoy the hobby. Fair enough, yeah, okay. He went on a diatribe about how I was some sort of male-leaning Mr. Tom, and how I was a betrayer of all women with my point of view. He even threatened to get the manager to kick me out. Okay. So a Mr. Tom, for those of you who don't know, I think that comes from an Uncle Tom sort of a thing, in which I think it was a term in the social justice movement or the social rights movement back in the day, where black people who were on the side of the conservative left or the conservative right were deemed as, like, you know, friends of white people, which was not good. You know, you're a traitor to the cause, sort of a thing. You know, it's silly. It's silly, but it is what it is, right? And it doesn't work in this context either. I laughed, looked over to the manager. The manager, Tom, lovely lad, and one of my employees, held up his hands in mock submission as if to say, nothing to do with me, boss. I just told Simon I didn't think Tom would be kicking me out, hoping he'd take the hint as he saw all of this happen. Unfortunately, he didn't. He said, I can make a phone call to the owner. I'm sure he will take my side on this. This is a safe space and needs to be kept that way. I finally took the bait and snapped. I'm sorry. I asked, before telling him, you do realise I am the owner, right? And you just assumed the owner of this store would be a man. That's a little sexist, don't you think? Shit. Oh my god. This guy's whole life just crumbled in front. Oh my god. This is the only time in my life I've ever truly dunked on someone like that in that way, and in a way that there was literally no get-out-of-jail-free wiggle room. The guy was just roasted and done. He actually looked to Tom, who just gave him an apologetic shrug to confirm my story. He went back to his painting table and just got on with painting before muttering about how this store was not friendly to allies or feminists, before finally saying loudly to his friends that he'd had enough of this place for one evening. He packed up all of his stuff and left a few hours later. Now, this may seem like a satisfying story, but I hate confrontations in all forms. So, whilst this went my way, it also kind of ruined my night of painting and talking to my friends who now all knew I owned the store. Sigh. Yeah, because people aren't going to treat you in the same way from that point on. That sucks, man. I'm really sorry to hear that. The second story is a bit more serious, as it comes from a tournament and is the reason I just don't bother with them anymore. It was a tournament that I had signed up for in my local area, and I will leave it at that, as I don't want to dox anybody or get them into trouble. So, I went into the tournament with my Adeptus Custodes, my glorious golden boys, and was open to have a really good time. I was there with a few friends, and we were off on a night out that night after the tournament, so I was looking forward to that as well as rolling some dice. It was a tournament with rounds in a normal bracket style, with 32 managers and staff from my local area. The tournament was held in an inner city community centre, but the lighting and ambience were awesome. It even had fans blowing in and out to help with the smells at times in the place. Yeah, that's the one thing I hate about these hobby things, dude, is the smell. Just, there's no excuse. Do you know when people say to you that there's a meme I saw the other day that I loved? It was like, literally, you know, how do you smell so nice in the geek sphere? How do you smell so nice? And it's literally Will Smith pointing with both of his hands to a shower. Use it, you know. In my first two games, I came across two lovely gentlemen, with Imperial Guard and Genestealer cults respectively. Both games I thoroughly enjoyed, and won in rather close central board throwdowns, which really pumped me up, because the other guys were also really into it. It is important to note, as an aside, that I have previous tournament experience, and almost always come across that guys and shouty neckbeards, so this was my final straw to like tournaments or just not bother with them from now on. Well, you can see soon how this goes, as she, in capital letters, is about to turn up. Blue hair, overweight, bumping into people, and she slams her army case down on the table, making the entire thing jump, and my Trajan Valoris model to fall off of a piece of terrain from my previous game. If he was broken, I'd have hurt a bitch, but she was fine. Now, I have been described as attractive before by blokes, okay? I've been told I look like a girl called Nikki Delventhal on YouTube, for what it's worth. And yeah, the resemblance is there, I guess. I'm saying this because the hostility I got from Harriet, my opponent, is something I've gotten quite a lot from women. So for the first hour or so of her behaviour, I sort of let it go. Okay, I need to see what this girl looks like. Nikki Delventhal. Nikki Delventhal. Let's have a look. Let's have a look, shall we? Let's have a look. Hot damn. Hot damn. Alright. That's not bad. That is not bad at all.
Come to Butthead.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
Sorry, couldn't resist that. But yeah, that is not a bad looking woman at all. So well done to you for being quite good looking. But there you go. It's what it is. Let's get on with the rest of the story. Throughout the setup to the game, she barely said a few... Hang on, I've just realised something. You look like that, and you do Adeptus Custodes, and you seem quite cool. You're basically Henry Cavill in female form. There you go. That is the hobby Henry Cavill there. We found her. Anyway, throughout the setup to the game, she barely said a few words to me, even as I tried to get to know her. Before the game, I held up my hand to shake it, and she just kind of brushed off. Oh, Jesus Christ, really? This is getting a bit... I decided not to go for another handshake. During the game, her Tyranids... Big surprise there. Sorry, Kaya, and every other Tyranid female player that is out there. During the game, her Tyranids were generally doing stuff that was a little odd in 8th edition, but hey, I don't know their codex. I'm talking movement ranges and the ranges of some of their weapons. These even changed sometimes during the game, and so weren't really... what does that say? They weren't really... normal? Okay, never mind. When finally she did speak to me, she asked me, as she was rolling dice, if I, and I quote, enjoyed the way men objectify me, unquote. What? Fuck off. And to be honest, fuck it. Yes. Yes, I do. Good girl. Good girl. Everybody stand up. Everybody stand up and applaud this woman. Everybody stand up. I'm sorry, I don't care where you are. I know there's going to be a guy in a booth somewhere in his office job, standing up in his cubicle, saluting right now. Good girl. Good girl. She says, and to be honest, fuck it. Yes, yes, I do. I don't mean I wear slutty clothes or anything, but I work very hard to look good because when I eventually am with a guy long term, I want to look good for him. God, I'm just, who's not, I've got a tear in my eye. I've got a tear in my eye. Literally. I said this and then mentioned that I was unlucky in love, to be honest. I'm not really, in brackets, I'm not really, but I didn't want to come across as an arsehole to this girl. To which she literally looked me up and down and said, I wonder why. Pursing her lips like she had got me in some kind of gotcha. Oh, but... bollocks off. I'll tell you what. Anyway, by the end of the game... the end of the game is coming up, and it is pretty clear that I'm going to win. I am 19 points to 42 up in the final battle round, and my boys have turned her bugs into mulch. She's pretty much tabled. Rather satisfying, but as somebody who tries to be a good winner, I generally compliment her rolls and moves while she actively celebrates all of her kills and gets angry whenever I make any. I'm pretty much done by the end of the game, and I'm determined to just get to the semi-finals and see who I can play next. As we finish the game, however, her eyes light up in triumph as she points to my Trajan model and exclaims, "What is that?" very loudly. I tell her it's Trajan Valorous. She says it's not a legal model. I ask why. She says he is not using his axe on the model, despite the rules for the tournament being very clearly WYSIWYG, whatever that means. I know now that this means what you see is what you get, as in whatever's on the model is what the model uses. My Trajan had a power sword instead of his axe because it looks cooler, but he used it, he is used as if he is out the box as standard. Same weapons, everything. It's just I like the visual look of the sword better. Harriet, however, is not happy. She calls over the tournament organiser and pulls him aside to whisper to him and points to our table. Okay, number one, if you're a tournament organiser, don't do that. Include both players in the discussion. Don't go off and coerce with another... That's what a dickhead thing to do. He heads over without a second thought and disqualifies me. That's it. On the spot. I am now absolutely furious. Yeah, don't fucking blame you, dude. Jesus Christ. I tell the tournament organiser of her behaviour throughout the game, what a bad sport she has been, how antagonistic she has been and the fact she almost broke that very model at the start. I say that I played Trajan like he is in the Codex and showed him on my army sheet how the Trajan on the army list and in the Codex are exactly the same. The sword is for visual look only. He declares that I still broke the rules, and in panic, I remember something. I head over to another table and ask to pick up a guy's Typhus model, which has its scythe swapped out for a bell. He allows me to, and I hold up for the tournament organiser to look at. I say, "Is this lovely gentleman also disqualified then?" Finally, the tournament organiser relents and says he will add 66 points to Harriet's final score, and that the example guy's opponent will get the same. I now feel very shitty, as another guy is apt to get knocked out, But little did I realise, he was also 50 points ahead of his opponent, so even with that roll, he won quite handily. Okay, fair enough. Do not tell me he rolls this, and you lose. Do not tell me. Do not tell me, please. We rolled, and got a 2, a 4, a 4, a 3, a 5, and finally, a 3, which gave us 21. I know this, as I still have the picture of the roll, and I'll send it in with this Hobby Nightmare. Cheers. This gave Harriet a final score of 40 to my 42. Victory by the narrowest of margins. I couldn't help it. I leaned over the table and shook my fist in the girl's face as she packed up her models, calling me a fucking switch whore. Whatever that means. I think it means that you have a strap on or something. I think it means you use a strap on to... It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Okay. I think she means you want to be a man. I don't know. I don't know. Let's carry on, shall we? I let it go. I was now ready to go home, and in the semi-final got absolutely decked by the guy on the other table and his amazing Death Guard list. He went on to win the tournament. That night, we went out, and I was just so highly strung and didn't know what to do with myself. It took me a few hours and drinks to calm down, and I was just like, I do not need this in my life. So like most things that don't need to be there, that are stressful, I cut it out and swore off of tournaments and any politics being discussed at my store. What a few weeks that was. Horrid. Anyway, love you long time, neck oil. Alright, cheers, thank you so much for sending that in. I will say, like, not all tournaments are like this, but you seem to have more... You seem to have more experience of tournaments than I do. So maybe you've come across a lot of really bad stuff in a city centre tournaments. I would say not all of them are like this. I've had quite a few good experiences at tournaments, but you know what you know. If you enjoy the hobby for the things that you enjoy it for, focus in on those and like leave everything else the way it is. You know, don't go out there, don't get into anything. Just head on over there, and do what the hell you want to do. Choose your opponent and choose what parts of the hobby you want to partake in. No one else can stop you. Plus, you own your own store, for God's sake. Just get on with it, right? Anyway, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much, you guys. I may take the day off tomorrow or come on with like a really last-minute video because I have a few ideas that I want to do on Thursday. So, there may not be a Patreon early access for the video tomorrow, but there will be one. There will be one on for Friday's video. But I will love you a long time. I will speak to you soon. Please make sure that you go and give Composite Games some love. They really do a lot to help the channel out. Go on there and use the promo code Northern Exile down below to get yourself 5% off at checkout. They already give you 20% off, so you could get 25% off at checkout, which is half of the Games Workshop staff discount, which is really, really, really cool. Love you a long time. Speak to you later. Have a good one. See ya.